Boy, I gotta tell you, Jimbo, right now, the last couple days, I don't know. I've been feeling really, really sick. Not feeling well, kind of in bed all day, things like that. But not quite as sick as that Falcons win on Monday night, huh, buddy? What? What? And welcome everybody to Stay Tuned Sports. I am your boy King. That is your good friend Jimbo right over there. And I had to. Oh, whoa, why did I jump back up? That's weird. Anyway, I had to bust your balls a little bit. Listen, it's the only joy I'm going to have this season as a Giants fan is watching the Eagles ever screw up. Like that's all I got. This is all I got here, Jimbo.
But according to Sirianni, he didn't screw up. The number said to, no, Siri, I don't want to. Oh, Jesus, I got to put my phone away. Siri was asking me questions now.
Oh. Why did they throw it on third down, Jimbo?
Yeah. But the number said to play that pass play because they're junking into stuff up the middle. As Saquon's running for
As Saquon was running, again, the first four runs he had was 9.5, 10, and 11 yards, and he had a couple of stuffs, but for the most. But here's the other thing, and this is even if they stuffed them, you're out of timeouts.
Yeah,
the Falcons are out of timeouts. You run the clock, and then guess what? You can do on fourth down. You can run it again and see if you can get in the end zone. And if you don't, guess what? Now they only have about 48 seconds left, depending on how much time did get run off the clock, to then go 98 yards or whatever it would have been in order to get the touchdown. Like silly. I didn't get and again, you know me. I'm not a man here that's going to defend Saquon a lot, as I've already tried to kind of shit on him this whole time, which not really, I'm not really shitting on him, but I'm always like, oh, he's going to get injured soon, so enjoy that, But that's not. Listen, that wasn't his fault, because it should have never been that play.
Yes,
it should have been hand the ball off to Saquon and let him end the game for you.
Yeah,
and you had two downs to try that where they didn't have a timeout, because that's the thing. If you can hand the ball to Saquon twice, I'm pretty sure he's going to end up in the end zone. And like I said, even if he doesn't, you kill a ton of clock. And then they have to go 96, 98 yards in order to get the touchdown. So I don't get that. But a lot of people are saying that the Falcons saved their season with that come from behind win, and maybe so, especially in the NFC South when you look at the Buccaneers, who I was kind of high on with Baker. And I was like, I like them. I want to see them do well. And so far, they've done very well. They went into Detroit and won this week. A big win for the Bucks and Baker. Oh man, this I really am saying it's really. This is either going to be a very long episode to get through, or it's going to be super short because I'm going to be dead by the end of it. I don't know. But the Saints, all of a sudden, if the Falcons had lost that game, they're going to be 2 games behind the Bucks and the Saints then in the division. So I do think in that sense that was a little bit of desperation from the Falcons, and they certainly did pull it out there in the end. But keeping on that NFC South, who saw the Saints coming?
Yeah.
This is a team that everybody was like, oh, this is bad. They're going to be. I mean, Derek Carr's bad. Get rid of Derek Carr. Everybody in New Orleans is like, oh, well, maybe we can get Shador Sanders next year during the draft or do something like that because Derek Carr's a bust. He's not working. Nothing here is working. This offense is bad. Nothing is working. Saints are bad. Like, that was Saints fans, too. And then you had the rest of us, the national media, and I'm not part of the national media. I'm saying the national media plus us, the goofs on YouTube who watch this shit. I agree. I didn't see the Saints doing anything. Just shows what an offensive coordinator can do for you.
Well, here's my thing about the Saints, too. Like, I'm not fully on the bandwagon yet, because I'm sticking with my philosophy that I've had for years that after week 4, that's when we'll really know who's who and who's not who. They do look like they are a team, so my foot is slightly on a step to get up into the bandwagon. But we've seen last year this type of Derek Carr, and then the following 3-4 weeks, just 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, like. That was my questions going into the season with the Saints was, which Derek Carr are we getting? Alvin Kamara has always been a good running back. But, I mean, Grant, blowing up for 4 touchdowns, that's a nice little feat.
He always seems to help out my wife and her family because he a couple of years ago he had that 6 touchdown game in week 17 that ended up winning my wife her fantasy football championship. For that year, like she won her fantasy bowl there, and then just this past week, my sister-in-law, she's in a money fantasy league with other people, and the only reason she won was because Kamara went over 4 touchdowns, and it's like, man, he really loves you girls, huh? He does everything he can to help you girls out. And they're like, yeah, but I mean, Kamara's always going to be a dog. He's always going to be out there. But what we've seen, not just, and it's not just the fact that it's like. I think Derek Carr was always. I honestly liked Derek Carr when he's with the Raiders. I think Josh McDaniel really almost ruined him. Yeah. Then he goes down to New Orleans last year, has to deal with Carmichael, who's a Sean Payton leftover. And again, doesn't the scheme's not working with him. He's not working well within the team. It just all looks like it's bad. Everything's like it's bad trade, bad all this stuff. And then you get Kubiak in there, and all of a sudden now again the first game was against the Panthers, so it's like they blew out the Panthers. They put 48 up on the Panthers, and it's like it's the Panthers. Let's be honest. Like, a lot of teams are going to do that this year to the Panthers, unfortunately. And we'll get to Bryce Young being benched in a little bit here. But then, listen. It's something else going into AT&T Stadium in Arlington, playing the Dallas Cowboys. With that defense, with Micah Parsons, who had just gone into Cleveland and just mollywopped the Browns. And granted, maybe the Browns aren't that great, but then the Browns won this week going down to Jacksonville, which means how bad is Jacksonville? I mean, again, you try to play. It's a shell game. It's a tough game. Who's good this week by this week based on what they did the week before? Like, you don't know. You have no idea. But to go into Arlington, to go and play that Dallas Cowboys defense, and to put up 44, again, that's back-to-back 40-plus games there for the Saints. That's given you a little bit of a, all right. And now they go to the Dome. They're back in the Superdome. They got the Eagles coming in, who are reeling off that Monday night loss. So the Eagles are on a short week. Blew a game that they, by all rights, should have won. If we
had a 98% chance to win at 50.
Listen, you shared that graphic in the group chat. I wasn't going to because I was like, you have enough stuff going on. Like I was like, I'm not gonna screw with him today. I was like, I've been on the side of a bad loss like that. It was bad enough. I was basically cheering against you on the live stream on Monday anyway. I was like, I'm not gonna screw with him. I'm not gonna screw. And sure enough, then you come in here and post it, and it was just like, I'm gonna roast myself. Look at what we were supposed to do, and I roast myself. I was like, all right. Yeah. Doors open then. I'm not saying anything, but that was
like I said in that chat. I posted the picture and I said, I'll leave this here and I will go see myself out.
But that's it. Like the Eagles should have won that game. So now you're coming into New Orleans where it feels we're not in must win. We're in week 3. Nobody's in a must-win yet. I mean, if you're 0-2, your season's over anyway, so you're not in a must-win. So go screw yourself. Except for, unless maybe you're the Ravens. And we'll get to that in a moment. There's so much to get to from this week, too. It's been absolutely insane. But yeah, you got the Eagles got to go now down to the Saints playing in the Superdome, which gives them a huge advantage anyway. Even when they're terrible, the Superdome is an advantage for the Saints, where it's tough to go and play in that place. So now you're going to have a 2-0 team that's blown out their first two opponents, one of them being the Dallas Cowboys, and now you got the Eagles coming in. That place is going to be loud.
And A.J. Brown's out again.
And so now you have to figure out you have a new center in there, who's not Jason Kelce. That's what I mean by new.
Yeah.
You got Jalen Hurts, who's been so far this year not terrible. He hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't been great.
Yeah.
He's got 4 picks already to start off the year. Not great. To me, like, if I'm the Eagles, I think that game should be a steady and heavy dose of Saquon Barkley the entire game.
Yeah.
Just hand the ball off to him. Don't worry about trying to move people around. Don't worry about snap counts. Just get Jalen under center, get his hands right under the center's nuts. He can, as soon as he punches the nuts, snap the ball, hand it off to Saquon, let it go, and just try to deal with it that way. Because that might be your best chance to win. And you got to hope that your defense steps up. But the way your run defense is versus Alvin Kamara, if I'm an Eagles fan, it gives me pause.
Their defense is so bad. I don't know if you saw this. Fletcher Cox, after the game, texted the whole defense and said, "What the fuck are you guys doing? This is not Eagles defense. 7 yards of carry is not
Motherfucker, I'm about to unretire and come out there and show you how it's done. What are we doing?"
and like to your point about just heavy dose of Saquon, that will help the defense because now you're controlling the time of possession.
Yeah.
Keep our defense. It's really sad that in the past 3 years we went from the Philadelphia Eagles defense to the Georgia Alabama Dog Eagles, and we're playing like freaking puppies and kitty cats.
And that's the thing is when you guys kept on getting these Georgia draft picks, everyone's like, well, Georgia basically is an NFL defense as it is. So it's like, man, Eagles are just bang, reload, bang, reload, bang, reload, bang, reload. And we're like, God damn it, Howie, stop once. Yeah. But so far this season, again, that run defense has been, and if we're being honest, that last drive that Kirko Chains there did on, like, he carved up your secondary like it wasn't even there.
I hate prevent defenses. That's all that was. Just drop back and let them go underneath. No, fucking play them.
So again, I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that actually thinks like the Saints are actually they might be a wagon this year. And if that's the case, like, that's just what one coordinator can do that then work. And that's the thing that I have a problem with some of these people is you have coaches out there that try to make players fit into their system. And then you have the coaches, and these are usually the successful ones, that then have the system fit the players they have and what they can do. Like, I think about, like, you look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid has always been able to adjust how he plays the game and what he does with football based on who's around him. I think he learned a lot in Philadelphia, because in Philadelphia, I think we all remember, there was one thing Andy loved more than anything, and that's throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Andy would throw the ball when you were not supposed to throw the ball. Andy would throw, it's 3rd and inches, Andy would throw the goddamn ball. I think he's learned a little. He still loves doing the fun and creative plays. He still loves passing the ball around like anything. And when you have Patrick Mahomes and you have the fast receivers that they do, they haven't really gotten Travis Kelce involved in the offense this
Well, that's kind of like how last year was with him too.
I know Taylor's probably disappointed, but
they'll break up because of it.
Maybe that'll happen. And listen, if we get another banger album, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's when she puts out her best work. You know, as we saw with the last one. The last one she had, that was the Tortured Poet shit. That shit is prime time just vitriol, and that's because the dude she was banging before Travis. She had a little tryst there between her last boyfriend and Travis with the guy from the 1975, and that turned out. He just kind of he did the old hit it and quit it.
Oh.
And that's, you know what? It takes an artist to take like a 2-week hit it and quit it session and turn that into a double album. And she did it. So, hey, congratulations to her, like I said. So if we get that, that's great. And then maybe Travis will shave that stupid fucking mustache.
Yeah. I was just looking to see what the spread was for the Saints-Eagles game, and the Saints are actually favored by 2.5 as of right now.
Which, again, that means money's going on the Eagles because the home team gets 3 for being at home.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, there's money going on the Eagles. I don't know what they're seeing. I don't know what the books are seeing. If that's something. But I would. Me personally. And again, don't take advice from me because you will lose nothing but money. I would look at an alternate spread there for the Saints and maybe try to hammer that and see if you can get better odds. Because only favored by 2 at the Dome.
Yeah.
Like that makes me think and makes me wonder that people still aren't quite buying into the Saints yet.
Or they think, so after the game, Jalen Hurts was the one that spoke to the team, not Nick Sirianni. And that was the big question from last year. Can Hurts step up and be a leader, be more vocal? Like things like that. I wonder if people are like, okay, good. He turned it around. Now they'll bounce back like a players meeting type thing, that type of thing. I am tired of hearing all these things, like Darius Slay. Hey, I'll take accountability for that. Saquon, I agree with you. I don't think he needed to take accountability for that play, for the drop pass. I think the pass could have been better. I think it was a little more out front of him than it should have been. Because just like Malik Neighbors, he had a hell of a game, Saquon. And one play is going to define his play for that game. Defensively, the only bright spot of our defense so far, I think, is Quentin Mitchell, our corner. He's playing really good as a cornerback who wasn't supposed to start this year. He was just going to be like our nickel guy or whatever.
Right.
And because of injuries, he's in there. And same thing with him. That long touchdown, Baldinger or whatever, Brian Baldinger was breaking the film down and said he should have went a little bit more deeper in his coverage, which would have took that away, blah, blah. That's a rookie. Like, I'm not expecting him to play every single snap to perfection.
Right.
But he's the only bright spot of that defense.
And this is I think we might have talked about it a bit on the stream or not, or maybe just in casual conversation. It's like the Eagles have good performances from individuals, but as a unit, whether it's defense, whether it's offense, it always seems like something is just off or something is not quite clicking. And yeah, you got the win down in Brazil, but that one was, I think, a lot closer than it should have been, considering how the game was going. You had Jalen Hurts all of a sudden throw 3 picks, should have thrown 5, if we're being honest. Because they kind of got away from Saquon after Saquon got going, and he got 3 touchdowns. And why are we moving away from Saquon Barkley? And then you have this game where it's, again, some of the defense not quite playing, even though, like you said, there were some individual performances that were good. CJ with that 4th down stop, in which he should have been thrown for a flag because he took his helmet off, but of course
no, it was falling off.
Stop it!
It was
better.
Like twisted, so he couldn't see it.
Stop it!
I won't go so hard at you today because you're sick.
And because you lost, so stop. I mean, and you can't come back at me saying, "Oh, well, the Giants lost," because we're supposed to lose. We suck.
Oh, I was gonna say you lost by field goals at least.
Yeah, I know. Wait, listen, we scored 3 touchdowns. It's not our fault that our kicker pulled his hamstring on the very first play of the game on a kickoff that was called back on a holding anyway, and Daboll knew he was hurt and didn't put a backup kicker on the fucking roster because he's a fat fucking idiot. Even though he takes Ozempic now and is not as fat, he still is fat in the head because he's a fat-headed moron. Maybe we won't talk about the Giants so much. But, and scene. But I think what we talk about, like that's it. You have these individual performances that are great, and then when you come to the end of the game and like there was no situational awareness from the coaches, from the players. It's like they have no timeouts. You're down there. Is a $140 left. All you have to do is run the ball. Boom. Clock goes down. Because even with all that happened, it took, 66 seconds for Kirk Cousins to drive down the field? You're talking about if you do the running instead and milk that clock all the way down and then, let's say, run it on 4th down, or even if you kick the field goal on 4th down, which I don't know if I would have done anyway. But let's say you do that. Then you're leaving them with only about 48 seconds around there to work with, which means that they're not going to get down there. So that's it seems like the Eagles have the pieces together. On paper, they should be really good. But for some reason, the players aren't playing up to their potential, and you have the units themselves aren't playing cohesive. Even if you have some individual players that are playing well, like Saquon. Saquon's been great.
Yeah.
And that's the shame of it, is that he's played great, but so far all anybody's in Philadelphia has been talking about is he should have got that ball. Saquon cost us the game. I don't see that. I don't think Saquon cost you that game. I think the coaching staff cost you that game, and I think the lack of situational awareness from your coaching staff cost you that game.
And the funny part is everybody, including myself, keeps on going back to that play. We're totally forgetting about the first half of going for it on 4th down and not going for the field goal. They kick the field goal and make it. We win that game.
That's true too. That's another decision there. That was we called it then. We even said it on the stream there. It was like, hope that that might come back and bite you. You're like, hope that doesn't come back and bite us in the ass. And sure enough, that was something that bit you in the ass. Because again, why? What's the point? What's the reason? Again, I've always been the advocate of take the points. You're there, you have them. Take the points. You know who took the points? The Washington football team of Redskin Commanders. They didn't score a touchdown, and they still won against a team that scored 3 touchdowns against them. Why? Because they took the points when they had it. They didn't get close enough and be like, oh, well, only 3 points? No, let's go for 6. We can get there. They said, no, let's take the points that are available. And they won. Yeah. The week before, you know who took the points? The Steelers. They didn't score a touchdown. They won against this Atlanta Falcons team, which, again, I think goes to show you how good that Steelers defense is, because their offense is atrocious, and they're 2-0.
Speaking of the Steelers, how do you feel about the whole petty game ball for Russell Wilson?
I like it. I like the idea of it for other people, and other stuff is just like, even though he didn't play, even though they didn't do anything like that, it's kind of like that, F those guys. Which is kind of funny, because the Jets had the same thing last year, too. When they went into Denver and beat Denver, and they gave Nathaniel Hackett the game ball.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, they gave Nathaniel Hackett the game ball for the Jets getting the win in Denver, and it was just like, it's along those same lines. It's just kind of like, it's an FU ball,
Because when I saw that, I'm like, man, if I was Russell Wilson, I'd be like, you guys are assholes. This is a slap to my face. Like, I'm hurt, and you're giving me a ball that I knew I could beat these guys and blah blah. But maybe I'm the minority here of thinking it's a slap in the face.
No, that's not a slap in the face to Russ. No, that's the team coming around him and being like, we got this one for you. We won this one for you. Because F those guys. F Sean Payton. Sean Payton was so desperate to get rid of you that, they're spending $43 million just to have you sit over here and do all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, you know what? F them. We showed them, And even though you weren't able to be on the field, for it, and you weren't the one able to do that, we got the win for you. So that's a good team building. That builds up team spirit, team camaraderie. And again, Mike Tomlin was an absolute all-timer when it comes to
good.
These things. Like he's always got something. And because somebody asked him, like, what's the story behind, like, the petty game balls? Is that something that they do? And he says, listen, I can give you a hot dog. You might like the hot dog, but you might not want to know what's in it. You might not like the hot dog once I tell you what's in it. So I'm not going to tell you how we do that. I think that guy's, he's so good. I love Tom. That's the other thing. Pittsburgh people so desperate to get rid of him. Oh, we got to get rid of Tomlin. We got you guys have no idea how good you have it.
Yeah.
And I know you're like, well, our standard is winning playoff games and Super Bowls, and it's like, all right, but the fact of the matter is, like, you're almost in the play. You're in the playoffs almost every year.
Yeah.
You know, you haven't had a losing season in 17, 18 years, whatever it's been. Like you got like, do you know how many franchises would kill you? You want to talk about how you want to get rid of your coach? Why don't you talk to some Panthers fans?
Yeah.
Why don't you talk to Browns fans? Why don't you talk to Giants fans for the last, 13 years? Talk to Jets fans. Talk to even Lions fans who they had 1 year of success, but talk to Lions fans still about how, oh man, we have winning seasons, but we're not going far enough. We got to get rid. Like, are you serious? Are you that sport? Hey, listen, you want to change your coach, you go right ahead, but enjoy mediocrity. And also, the moment Tomlin gets fired from Pittsburgh, he's going to be on the market for 0.2 seconds before somebody else signs his ass up. And I certainly hope it's the Giants, So if that's the case, like if Pittsburgh wants to fire Tomlin, please go right ahead. Please do. Because hopefully, whoever our new GM is, because hopefully we fired Shane fairly quickly as well, we'll go ahead and we'll get Tomlin in there.
I wouldn't mind seeing Tomlin with the New York press up there. I think that would be a good back and forth.
Dude, it would be magic. Press conferences would be appointment viewing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing is yes, Pittsburgh is a big NFL market and things like that, but it's nothing like New York. So imagine him having to deal with the New York press and the shit he would come out with when he's got to deal with these savages out here. Like, oh, it'd be great. Yeah. I'd love it. I really couldn't wait for it. A couple other notes. The Cardinals, maybe they're better than we thought. And all of a sudden, because of that, the Cardinals go ahead, they blow out the Rams. And I know the Rams had a bunch of injuries, and they're kind of a walking mash unit right now. But still nobody saw that coming out from the Cardinals. But what this also does is, to me, it makes the Bills look better. Because all of a sudden now that Week 1 game that the Cardinals played in Orchard Park, and they were laying it on the Bills.
Yeah.
And then the Bills were able to come back. Josh Allen had the 4 touchdowns, 2 passing, and he rushed for 2 in the second half, brought the Bills back, got them to win that game against the Cardinals. All of a sudden now, after seeing this Week 2 game, it's like, well, all of a sudden now it doesn't seem like, oh, the Bills struggled against a lesser opponent, and then, okay, they won in Miami and everything like that, and that's, does that show that Miami's bad? No, maybe this shows that actually Buffalo is still Buffalo, and that we all just were asleep, and we're like, oh, maybe this is, they don't have Stephon Diggs. They lost almost all of their defense. They don't have anything like that because Von Miller's showing up. You have, again, Josh Allen's played well, and you got James Cook there in the background just pew, 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 pew. He's – so all of a sudden it's like you see how some of these other teams act, and it actually makes you think differently about their opponents from the last week. And that's kind of how I see that Cardinals game. All of a sudden, that Cardinals game against the Rams makes me think, we all thought, oh, the Bills 2-0, but again, they struggled against the Cardinals. After Sunday now, it's like, maybe the Cardinals are good too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, apparently, I didn't know, like Rich Eisen was out there saying that he's his dark horse, the Cardinals are his dark horse for the wild card. After these first 2 games, I'm maybe inclined to believe them. Like if they're going to hang that on the Rams, who a lot of people were high on. Granted, they did have a lot of injuries, so I'm going to pause on that. But they did go into Buffalo. They gave the Bills all they could handle, and I think a lot of people are pretty high on the Bills now. Me included. The Bills are way up on my list. Which, by the way, you're going to have to fucking explain yourself.
Yeah, I when I got home last night, I was like, oh, let me see his reactions. I didn't think my reaction was going to be that chaotic for you. Like I figured there'd be 1 or 2.
Hold on. We're gonna jump over to the countdown here. We're gonna jump over to the countdown set here. Here we are. And there's my list. Let's take that off. Let's put your list up here, and let's just go over this real quick because I had we did the countdown yesterday. It was just me. Jimbo was in absentia. I think he might have been down at the NovaCare complex trying to. He just wanted to talk to Kellerman. Just wanted to give him a talk. Just wanted to have a couple words.
I talked to him. I said, "Run the ball, run the ball,
run it." You have the Chiefs number 1. Okay, that's understandable. They're 2-0. A tough game against the Bengals. Some people might have dropped them off. Some people didn't. But Chiefs number one. Understand. Chiefs are still my number one, so I get that. Lions, after losing to the Bucks at home, you still have at number 2.
Yeah. Close game. Tampa Bay again.
Lost.
Yes, they did lose, but so did San Fran. Like, basically, my top
Right, and you still have
teams-
San Francisco at number 3, unchanged, after losing to the Vikings.
Just want to mute that so the ice cubes didn't make the sound. The top 3 teams, so I got Houston number 4 there. It's like Kansas City, Detroit, Houston, then a step down for everybody else. I don't think there's other teams close enough to group together with those 3, even with the losses.
This shows clearly you didn't watch any highlights or clips or anything of Sunday night, because if you think the Texans right now are better than the Buccaneers,
I think it would be a close game, but I think the Texans would win.
not a chance.
But
Not a
that's
chance.
why I have 4 and 5. So even if I put the Buccaneers at 4 and Houston at 5, you still think there's a big gap between those two, between 4 and 5, if Buccaneers are
Well,
number
listen,
4.
I get. Well, let's take a look at because my list was, here we go. My list is, I have the Chiefs at number 1. Okay. I have the Buccaneers at number 2. And I have the Bills at number 3. And I now have the Saints at number 4.
So if the Buccaneers played San Fran in the NFC Championship game right now, Buccaneers win.
Well, if they played right now, they'd be playing in Tampa Bay. And I say, yeah.
And you know how about
They don't
how I
have
feel
CMC. They don't have. I think Debo might have got hurt in the last game. I can't remember.
Yeah, Debo's out for a couple weeks, but
right.
they got
So
Brock
you
Purdy.
got Debo hurt. You got like the way they're playing, absolutely. And again, that's the way you're looking at yours. I look at mine based on how did these teams play, what did they do, and do they deserve to be where they are?
I mean, I do take that into consideration, but as far as putting them like finalize them in a spot, I look at the team above and below. Do they lose to this team, or do they beat this team with how they've been playing in 2 weeks, the past 2 weeks?
So if we're gonna have that conversation,
I know what team you're going to.
if anybody's watching this and looking at the teams that you have listed here in your power rankings, I'm pretty sure everybody knows where I'm going to go with this too.
Okay.
What the fuck are the Colts doing on there?
They beat Dallas.
No, they didn't.
Right now, I think they could beat Dallas.
No.
Dallas, again, Indy played Green Bay.
They're
good Green Bay
0-2. They have not won a game, and they lost to Malik Willis.
No, they lost to Josh Jacobs.
They lost to Malik Willis as quarterback.
who passed not that many times. They just ran that ball down their throat.
You can, I'm sorry, you can't have an 0-2 team in your top power rank. You can't.
So if Kansas City was 0-2 right now with close losses to San Fran and to the close losses to the Buccaneers, you're having them out of your power rankings?
Yes.
You're nuts. You're nuts.
If the Chiefs have lost 2 games in a row to start the season, if they lost to the Ravens and they lost this week to the Bengals, guess what? They're out.
So it doesn't matter how they played. It just matters about the record then.
Yeah, when there's other teams that have played better, yes. You have to take everything into account. You have to take into account, how did they play? How did it look? But you also have to take into account the results of the game.
Yeah.
That's the big part of this.
But if they play better than
and not only that,
teams,
you had the Colts weren't ranked in your power rankings last week. They got moved into your power rankings by losing 2 straight games.
Which I had them at 14, so they were close to being in the top 12.
And a loss bumps them up
compared to
5
Dallas,
spots
Philly,
in your
Baltimore.
rankings.
Yeah.
That's why I love you, Jimbo. This is why I love you.
Well, that's why I said when we came up with this idea that we'll do the power rankings, I said it's
listen. However we come up with them is how we come up with them. I get it. But
I will say, I want to finalize it Monday night after the game, I think I had Philly, like I was so pissed off. I think I had Philly down at like
Dropped
25. Like I'm like, this team could beat them. This team could beat them. And I'm like, nope. Let's go to sleep, wake up clear-headed, and then I went back in, and I'm like, this team will beat them. This team will. And I dropped them to wherever I had them, or wherever I put them at 11, which is I still think generous there.
I think I have them close. Wait, hold on. All right, we're gonna jump back down to the countdown set here for a second. Oh, I hit the wrong one. There we go. Technical difficulties.
Surprised you didn't say nothing about the Saints only being at number 8 for me too.
I get that. I think I got a little. I pushed the Saints up there simply because they had 2 games of over 40 points and they dismantled that cow. They opened the game with 7 touchdown drives.
Yeah.
Derek Carr has had 15 drives. His first 15 drives have all been scoring drives.
Yeah.
Like Derek Carr is like the Saints are rolling. So I'm like, their performance has been great. I didn't put them into the power rankings last week because they beat the Panthers. That's not impressive enough. Beating the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, and that defense that the Cowboys have, that's impressive. That bumps you up. And then when you take everything into consideration of how their offense has been playing, how they look, it's like, okay, so that first week against the Panthers actually could have been a lot more. It seems like that they maybe pulled back on the throttle a little bit, you know. Yeah. So that's why I have them up there, because right now I think they are one of the better teams. And if they continue to play the way they're playing, they're going to beat a lot of these teams. So, and again, I don't know. You put them on I know some people do the whole, well, if you put them on a neutral field, who wins, who's not, like that kind of stuff. That's one way to look at it. I look at this more kind of almost collegiately. I look at how do the teams do, what is their record like, how did they perform, how did the other teams around them perform, and then base it basically on that. I don't do the whole, if they were to play on a neutral field, who would win or anything like that. I know that's how you do it. That's how some other people do it. I look at it more on that scale. I have the Eagles at 9, actually. So the Eagles at 9. The Ravens were the big drop down. I had the Ravens drop 6 points. They're down at 10. And then I had the Vikings jump into the rankings at 11, and the Packers stayed like a before at number 12 with their win against the Colts that you have somehow at number 10 or 8 or whatever the fuck it is. Jesus Christ. I love you, but I don't know. I don't know. But that's another thing. The Vikings. Did you see that 60-yard pass that Darnold threw from his own end zone to Justin Jefferson?
No,
and then Jefferson took it the rest of the way. But who is this Sam Darnold?
Yeah. And actually, if I'm Philly, I'm asking that ref if he wants to play wide receiver for us too.
Did you say? Yeah,
stop
I
on
saw
the
clip that
dime.
McAfee did.
Holy shit, man!
Silent. Man, he had speed. He had that quick turnaround, the quick little hip twist. Got that go backwards. He was athletic. You got to be athletic to be an NFL ref these days.
Yeah.
Unless you're that ref that was on Monday night who wore the shirt 2 sizes too small. It's like,
dude, that was bad.
He's not making those moves.
No. But no, that pass from Sam Darnold, I'm not saying he's the Jets quarterback from last year that I kept saying, MVP.
Oh yeah, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. I'm not saying he was as bad as Zach Wilson is, but he needed to get out of New York because that whole coaching staff is not good.
The best thing for him, I think, was spending last year in San Francisco.
Yeah.
He got to sit under Kyle Shanahan in that system. He got to watch how their quarterbacks work in that system. He got to watch Brock Purdy in that system. He got to absorb a lot and learn a lot, which he wasn't able to do when he was with the Jets and or the Panthers. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, when you look at the Panthers had Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And couldn't make either of them work. And now you're looking at them now, and Darnold right now is looking like a composed veteran quarterback making just pinpoint dime passes To now, and that's the thing. Like Justin Jefferson didn't have to adjust. He didn't have to try to make the catch and make it. That ball was bloop, right there, and then from there, Justin did his magic. Was able to run and get the rest of the yardage. But you're talking about a 60-yard dime from your own end zone, and not rushed. Didn't look panicked. Stood there confidently in the pocket in the end zone with everything around him going on, and was just like he's tossing to his kid or something. Like amazing. Like I can't get over where we got, and that's why I'm calling him the Ghostbuster now, because everybody always makes up like, and because he was like, oh, I'm seeing ghosts out there. I'm seeing ghosts, and I think that's what it was. He was young. He was a rookie. They threw him out there, and you're trying to tell a college kid to all of a sudden now immediately adapt to the NFL game
with a shitty offensive line.
And how do you do that? I mean, of course he's seeing ghosts, and people made fun of him for it and everything like that. He's had some time now. I think last year in San Francisco helped him more than anybody I think knows or will ever maybe admit or ever talk about. But I think that's the key to a lot of these quarterbacks. And maybe this is the good thing with Bryce Young.
That's what I was about to say, too.
Sit these young kids down. Make them sit their asses on the bench. Make them watch the game. Make them watch film. Make them listen to the coaching and how everything goes on during game day. Let them absorb the NFL game before you put them in there. Because we've seen now the results of what happens when you do it. We see it with Jordan Love. We've seen it with we saw it with Aaron Rodgers, 18 years ago, whatever it was, with the Packers and with Brett Favre. We've seen it with Mahomes, where he sat first behind Alex Smith and that Chiefs offense with Reed running things. You see it, and then you also see what happens when you throw the rookie right out there. Now again, C.J. Stroud is an anomaly. He's an outlier. I know people are going to say, well, what about C.J. Stroud? Yes, that's a one-off.
And before him, you could probably say, Andrew Luck might have been the last first-round quarterback to start.
That really came in and was that guy. But even so, he got beat to death because the Colts didn't have an offensive line to force him to retire early. Yeah. And again, that might be something, too, where the general manager or the ownership didn't fix a problem because he was kind of covering up for it.
Yeah.
And then you realize, I can't do this. And then he retires right before the season. And the Colts don't have that magic behind there anymore, and all of a sudden, everything is laid bare, and you realize just how bad that team was and just how much Andrew Luck covered for the Colts. But yeah, I think about all these other quarterbacks that could really have used sitting behind somebody first, a veteran presence, and getting that. That's why I like what the Patriots are doing with Drake May. Let him sit. Let him sit behind Jacoby Brissett. Let him get used to seeing what an NFL game is like. Get him used to the coaching, to the film room. Let him see what these defenses are actually like out there. And in real game time with real game footage. Like you're seeing what's happening right now with Caleb Williams, with Jaden Daniels, with Bo Nix. And it's like, yes, no matter how much you play in college, or no matter how good you are in college, this is a different game. You need that time to adapt and to adjust. And I think about my own quarterback with Daniel Jones. I would have loved him to be able to sit a year or two behind some other veteran quarterback. Now that, of course, is never going to happen. Owners we drafted him, we're paying him, we brought him out. It's like, well, fuck, But you're ruining these people. That's it. It's still early, but you could very easily be losing Caleb Williams if you're the Bears. Yeah. You see him on that sideline, and you see him, and then you look at Bryce Young, and here he was. This is the one who, the reason why Caleb is on the Bears, and the Panthers traded with them to get him because he's such a high pay, had so much potential, but you immediately throw him out there with no team around him, nothing but chaos, constantly switching coaches around. It's a recipe for disaster. And now you're ruining this kid. And now he's going to have the bust label on him. And it's like, maybe, again, this is the best thing for him. Sit down. Watch the Red Rocket out there. See what he does. Try to just sit and absorb the game. Although now the reports are that, he's pissed and he didn't want to be benched, and now he's pissed about being benched. So
I don't blame him.
So yeah, but
because
he also hasn't. But here's the thing: he hasn't performed either.
Yeah, but
so
if Andy Dalton does the same thing and doesn't perform, what are you gonna do? Put him back out there? I would tell the Panthers, fuck off.
No, I'm not going out there. I would tell him just no. And if I'm the Panthers, I don't put him back out there.
Yeah.
If I'm the Panthers, I'm like, sit, watch it, like the whole season, just for the season. Sit, watch, be in the film room, just try to absorb the game without having the pressure of having getting murdered back there. Yeah. Or having the pressure of like, oh, well, if I don't make this play, my life is ruined. No. Sit back, watch, absorb. And I think that might be the best thing for him if he allows it. If he wants to. If he goes in there with a different attitude, like, I don't give a shit, I don't even want to be here anymore, I'm not paying attention, I don't do anything, then it's not going to work and then his career is over. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Is I think for like young quarterbacks like this, that they can still be saved. Like, again, look at what's happening with Sam Darnold right now.
Yeah.
Look what's happening with a lot of these younger quarterbacks. Like again, Jordan Love came in, had 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers, started last year, and all of a sudden he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. And the Packers are now lost because he's injured. Oh, how long are we going to be without him? He's a main part. Like, because he had that time. He spent time not just behind a veteran, but a Hall of Fame veteran. You know, I think that helps a lot. And that's why I like what the Falcons did. And everybody shit on them when they drafted Penix at number, I think it was 8. And we're like, what are they doing? They just paid in. Why do they have this guy? He's not going to start. The best thing that they could do, and Arthur Blank came out and said it, he's like, we're basically following the Packers model right now, is get the quarterback you think is your future so that when that time comes in 3 or 4 years, which it will because Kirk is, mid-30s now.
Up there. Yeah.
So when that time comes, you have a quarterback there that is ready to take up the reins and is not a question mark. And it's not like you don't have that apprehension or anxiety of, is this going to be the guy? Can we do this? I think that's a huge advantage that the Falcons have now, and I think it's really smart. And everybody was murdering them for it. How can you do that? Drafting Penix, what a stupid move. That's dumb. You guys are so stupid. No, Falcons are ahead of the curve on this one, folks.
I think they mostly got destroyed for because of that contract that they gave Kirk Cousins. Like, if that was the route they were going to go and get Penix or a quarterback just in general, they should have signed like a Tyrod Taylor or Jacoby Brissett at a lot less.
Why? Why do that when you can? Why? Because if you get Kirk in there, you have a quarterback who is very good, a high-level quarterback, which is better for Penix to learn from. A guy who has seen everything, been through the ups and downs like he has come out the other side, has become one of the NFL's better quarterbacks. And again, Penix got to sit on a sideline and watch a 2-minute drill, but really was more like a minute 40 drill, on just a masterclass of how to drive down the field and pick apart a defense and get your team back in a position to win a game. Like, that's a valuable lesson that he's learned. And I don't know if Tyrod Taylor does that for him. I don't know if anybody else does that for him. Now, again, I think having a rookie sit behind any kind of veteran quarterback is probably the best way to go. Yeah. But for the Falcons, I think having Kirk Cousins there is a big thing. Because not only does this help Penix, but Kirk Cousins gives you a great chance to win games, get into the playoffs, and I still believe that with that team. And we're seeing how that team is right now, and they still have some issues to iron out. But Bijan Robinson is the deal.
Well, slow down. It was the Eagles' defense.
Listen,
you could have ran for 100 yards against that team.
Dude, I can barely hobble, so I ain't running anywhere. But like, I give the Falcons a ton of credit. Like, I didn't see it as a bad move during the draft where everybody was killing them for it. And now that we're at this point in the season and we're seeing what some of these quarterbacks have done, like especially Sam Darnold, with having that ability to just sit and watch, and how now he comes out of it, and everybody's like, "Oh, Sam Darnold, where was this? How is this happening?" That's why. It's because he got to sit and watch that San Francisco offense sit behind Kyle Shanahan, sit behind and actually for once in his career, just absorb and be like, oh, this is how I can do this in this situation, or this is what this is. Get better awareness of himself, awareness of the situations around him, like all of that. And we're seeing the dividends of that pay off right now with the Vikings. I think that is essential. And so I think for any of the other quarterbacks out there that are considered busts, that are 2 or 3 years into their career, I think the best thing for them is to find a team, go be a backup. There's nothing wrong with being a backup. Go be a backup, and just absorb. And then if you get that chance again, whether with another team or the team you signed and the quarterback moves on or whatever, but then I think you're going to be in a lot better position to play quarterback in the NFL. And so, I mean, that's how I see that, and that's why I said, and that's why I said, what the Vikings are doing, what the Vikings have done is, the Vikings, not so much, the Falcons. What they've done with Penix, drafting Penix, and he's going to be there now to sit behind Cousins, and then, let's say the worst happens, and Cousins gets hurt or injured at some point, maybe later this season or next season or something like that. All of a sudden, you're going to have a ready-to-go NFL starter right behind them, and you're not going to miss a beat.
Yeah.
Paging Dr. B. I'm sorry, I've been watching too much TikTok. But yeah, it's. I think it's genius. I think it's a masterclass, and I think
that's
if it works.
That's why. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just saying if this works, if we see in 3 or 4 years that Penix comes out and is like the guy down in Atlanta, hopefully you're going to start seeing teams do this more often. I think what hurt is seeing what C.J. Stroud did last year, and you can have all these owners and coaches being like, "See, it works. Throw his ass out there. He'll learn. Throw him right in the fire and see what he does." It's like, I don't know. That doesn't work for everybody. In fact, it doesn't work for anybody outside of a very select few.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to see because you see a lot of good young quarterbacks that have been labeled as busts because of it. And who knows how many careers have gone by the wayside because they just weren't given a chance.
And that's why I think Bryce Young and Danny Dimes needs to move on to different teams next year and be backups. Like Danny Dimes, I've given up on him with the Giants, but I'm not giving up on him as a player. I don't think he's not going to be no Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, but he could be a Sam Darnold. He could be a Baker Mayfield. But to kind of go to your point, I think he needs to go to a team that has a good coaching staff, decent offense, and just to sit back, watch what's going on, reset, get the ghosts out of his head that he's going to get pummeled every 2 seconds. And same thing with Bryce Young. Bryce Young has no one around him. So I don't understand why anybody thinks that any offense would work down there.
He has no one around him. I think he's on his 3rd coach or 4th coach already down there, and he's only been down there a year and 2 weeks. It's like the situation in Carolina is so bad,
Speaking of Carolina too, did you see the head coach's answer when one of the reporters asked, "Was this a David Tepper move or was this your move?" Did you see
I did not see it. I saw the thing on Sunday where he said Bryce Young is our quarterback, and then on Monday he comes out and says Andy Dalton gives us the best chance to win. It's like, who the fuck talked to you? Somebody said something to you.
His answer was, "This was an internal conversation. I'll leave it at that."
There you go. So that's what it was. So we know we know what happened. We know the situation in Carolina. We know Tepper is quickly becoming Snyder 2.0.
Yeah. I'd be willing to bet he said, bench Young, but don't tell the reporters I told you to do that.
Yeah.
So
it's an internal conversation. I'll leave it at that. Oh, wink. Oh, wink. In case you didn't know, oh, wink. I didn't say anything. Guys. Just however you want to interpret that. That's the media. And then if I'm the coach in there, Canales there, I go to Tepper. I'm like, This media today, man, they just interpret anything the way they want to. I didn't tell them anything. I didn't say nothing. But yeah. So I mean, just a wild week too. We covered a lot of that there. We got some good stuff coming up this week.
Commanders in first place. Giants only 2 games out.
Only a game out.
Oh, I thought Commanders were 2-0.
No, they're 1-1. They lost to the Buccaneers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
In week 1.
So that's even better for you. So your season.
Everybody
not over,
in the
buddy.
NFC East is 1-1 except for the Giants.
So your season's not over. You still got a chance. You got.
Listen,
hope.
if Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors play like they played in the last game, we have a shot. But our defense needs we need to fire our defensive coordinator immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. I haven't even taken the time to learn his name because he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve me knowing what his name is because he's a piece of shit and he's made the Giants defense, the big blue wrecking crew, into, I don't know, a union job because everybody's just sitting around and invisible. They don't do shit. And it takes, 17 months to build, 1/2 mile of road. That's what we're doing now. That's the crew we are. We ain't wrecking shit. Bunch of nonsense.
I'm taking it easy with you with the Giants.
What's that?
I know you're sick. I'm just taking it easy with you with the Giants. I know you're sick, so I don't want to get you fired up too much. That's all right.
I need to sweat it out. I got to sweat it out. Go for you. Sweats it out. You got a little brandy, that's the second Godfather reference I've had today.
So as far as live streams, what ones are we doing this weekend? Are we doing Thursday night?
We have Jets Patriots tomorrow. We're gonna do Eagles Saints on Sunday 1:00. Even though the Giants are on at the same time, Eagles Saints versus Giants Browns. One's got a little bit more juice to it than the other,
Yeah, but if the Eagles Saints game is a blowout and Giants game is decent, maybe we should,
Maybe we'll switch. Because if you don't think I'm going to have the Giants game also on while we're watching the Eagles game, you're going to see me sitting on a stream going, touchdown! It's like nothing's going on in the Eagles game.
I'm gonna have the red zone on my TV so that way I could get my power rankings ranked the right way.
Maybe because you have an 0-2 team who wasn't in your power rankings in week 1. In week 2, they managed to jump up 5 spots with a loss, and a bad loss at that.
And you're missing another fact too. I actually have 2 0-2 teams in my power rankings.
Did you?
Ravens at number 12.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah. I guess I blew your mind so much you just gave up.
I don't know why. Why do I have the Ravens here as 1-1 on mine? Yeah, they're not 1-1. They're 0-2.
Yeah.
Why did I screw that up? How did I screw that up? Yeah, no, the Ravens are 0-2. Yeah, I have them as 1-1 on yours as well. Yeah, no, I screwed that up. Yeah, the Ravens are 0-2. Whoops. That's my bad. Button again. I hit the wrong button again. I'm starting to open the show again. My fat fingers.
So we got Sunday afternoon games, and then Sunday night.
Who's Sunday night this week? Oh, that's Falcons Chiefs. That's right.
That could be a good game.
So we're doing Falcons Chiefs. Oh, I'm doing Falcons Chiefs. And then Monday night, there's 2 Monday nighters, because that's the dumbest thing in the world. But we will only be covering one. We might do the early one so that you can actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because that one is the Jaguars and Bills, which, I mean, it'll probably be over by halftime anyway, so I'll probably
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how the Bills are doing. Yeah. But the other games doesn't have it's the Bengals and who?
And the Commanders.
That one doesn't have any juice either, so it's 2 games, but neither one of them are really tickling the testicles, as it were.
Maybe that's why the NFL script have them having 2 games on Monday night.
Maybe it's just, hey, if we put 2 terrible games on Monday nights, somebody will have to watch. It's like, maybe, but yeah. So I think we'll cover the Bills Jaguars game, and we'll see what goes on with that. And we also have Friday forecast coming up on Friday, where we'll go ahead and make our picks for the week. But we do have to make our picks for Thursday's game. On this show, which is going to be the New York Metropolitans making their home debut against the New England Patriots, who are surprisingly 1-1. Could have been 2-0. They suffered an overtime loss to Seattle at home last week. Seattle surprisingly 2-0 because they don't have a run game, and their team seems to be just a mess. But there you go. They're a mess, but they're 2-0. But because you're 2-0 doesn't mean you get into the power rankings, because your team is still a mess. And I'm buzzing over here.
Well, only if you're 0-2 you get into the power rankings.
Apparently, only if you're 0-2 in the Colts and lose badly in Green Bay to a team that pukes on the football.
That was funny too.
Why is he not throwing the ball? Because the center puked on it. He said, "I'm just running it out of here. We'll get it done. I'm done with it." So yeah, Jimbo, Thursday, Jets, Patriots. Who you got in that one?
I want to take the Patriots just because I did watch a little bit of the Jets game while we were doing the live stream, and they just didn't seem in sync, but they did pull out the win.
It seems like Patriots, in the second half they got better.
Yeah, it seemed like Rodgers said, "Screw this, I'm taking the game over," and kind of just put the team on his back. And plus, it's Will Levis.
The best thing he can do is just ignore Robert Saleh, if we're being honest, and probably Nathaniel Hackett as well.
And the Patriots, I mean, they had the upset win in Week 1. They, like you said too, they should have won in Seattle, but that blocked field goal, I believe, at the end of the game, allowed them to go to overtime. Seattle wins. But I'm going to go with the Jets. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. This one, I think, may be a low-scoring game, though.
I mean, I don't know. If it's a low-scoring game, there's going to be a lot of upset people in the big air conditioner on Monday on Monday night, on Thursday night there.
Well, the over/under is 38. I just saw that, 38.5.
So Vegas is thinking it's going to be a real stinker too, a real low one. But I hope not. I hope we get some offense. But yeah, I think the Jets should win. We'll see if their defense can finally show up, especially their run defense.
Yeah.
I'll say this, and I don't think this is that much of a stretch. Jacoby Brissett is a lot better quarterback than Will Levis. So.
Yes.
I'm sick. Pardon me. And Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. He's still a Hall of Famer. And that Jets offense, as we saw in the second half of that Titans game, has weapons. Breece Hall is a weapon. Garrett Wilson, weapon. They have the pieces. Lazard is still. I mean, Lazard did good in Week 1 against the Niners for the little bit that the Jets had the ball in that game.
Yeah,
but that's it. The Jets have to get a better run defense. But I'll go with the Jets as well. So that's a Jets for you and a Jets for me. What about you out there? Is it a Jets for thee? Go ahead and let yourself be known. We'll have this up. You can go ahead and comment under it. We had the live chat going. If you want to chat with us live, like, share, and subscribe. Once you subscribe, you're able to jump to the chat, talk with us. Also, all our links are down in the description for our donation station. You want to help us out? That's down there as well. We have the QR code up there on the top of the screen as well, as you can see. So you can just take your little phone there and go to boop, and it does the beep, and then there you go. You help us out. We also have the merch store link that's up there and down there. That's basically like donating, except you get something cool for it. More merch is showing up in the shop all the time. Our link for our Discord is down there as well. So all those links are down there. I'm not sure. Is there anything else going on other than just a drunk week 2 with all these different games that happened and blowouts and surprises and the Saints and the Vikings all of a sudden being really good. Maybe not the Cowboys. Maybe not the Eagles. Well,
yeah.
Like I said, who saw the Commanders being on top of the division after week 2?
Yeah. The only other thing I would ask you, I might need your help to remember this, is what was the stat this past week? There's more kicker points than field goals than touchdowns?
There's more. There have been more for the first time ever. After 2 weeks, there's been more field goals than touchdowns.
So that just explains how this season's going so far.
Right. So now where you're getting people coming out and saying maybe they should narrow the goalposts and make it hard. Because not only are the field goals, there have been more field goals, but that's because there's field goals going from 50, 55. I remember as a kid, like a 50-yard field goal was like, holy shit, that's a long way to kick a football. And now 50, 55, 58-yard field goals, if you see the number starting at 50s, it's like, he should get this. It's like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. So maybe that's, like somebody said, the goalposts haven't changed since 1920. since like the
Okay.
inception of the NFL. Outside of the fact that they moved them to the back of the end zone, that's the only thing that's ever changed. Their width has been the same.
Yeah.
Maybe, we've changed other things. The hash marks moved in the 70s. They moved them from where they are in college. They moved them narrow to be more narrow. We've seen the kick change the kickoff. They changed all parts of the game. Maybe that's the next thing to change is take those field goal uprights and just kind of whoop. Or maybe you do like a carnival game. And you have it like on a gear system, and it's just like have a little like a mini golf there.
Or keep them the same width, but pull up a net that only has holes that you got to kick through.
Oh, that's not a bad
Bounces
idea.
off the net, you catch it and run.
That's not a bad idea. And that's it. It's kind of like arena. If it bounces off the net, you can catch it and run it back.
Yep.
See, now you're thinking. Now you're thinking we're portals. I like that. That's not a bad idea. You know what? We got to call Raj. Hey, Raj, get off your couch and stop eating those M&Ms. Come give us a call.
Put the M&Ms down.
We got some ideas. We got some ideas for you. It's going to help the game out. We promise. But anyway, that's going to do it for us this week here on the flagship. So we will be back tomorrow for the live stream of Thursday Night Football as the Jets take on the Patriots. And then Friday, we'll be here for the Friday forecast where your friend Jimbo and I will do our best to pick the absolute wrong games for week 3. We had a little bit better week. I had a little bit better week this week.
Yes, you did.
In the picks. You had a little bit worse week.
I mean, at one point I was tied in second, but I don't know where I finished.
It was kind of. My sister ended up winning the week, so congratulations to her. And my nephew was second. So still, I'm nowhere near the top. I'm nowhere near anywhere like that. But again, better this week. So maybe next week, maybe we're progressing. Maybe as we learn more about what's going on in the NFL, I'll do better. But that'll be on Friday. For your good friend Jimbo, my name is King. It has been a pleasure to hang out with you. Like, share, subscribe, everybody. It'd be great. Thank you so much for joining us. See you tomorrow for Thursday Night Football. Adios.